some Oregon Duck football news. I was bummed. I'm always bummed to lose my co-host, especially when it's last minute, and I hope his kid's doing all right. He had to take his kid to the hospital. Teddy Ball game a little sick. There was some Oregon Duck football news that's been happening. I know it may not be a good time yet to bring up the Oregon Ducks football team. How long does it take you to get over a loss like that? If you're a diehard. I don't know if I'm there yet.
No, that one's going to stick with you for a while.
The way it happened, I think that's still...
It was not the final result, it was the how. That one was about the
I would
how.
argue it's the why. Why did that happen that way? That is something that... I said it before, I'll say it again. I don't even know if Dan Lanning's going to have an answer to that by media day. But we'll have to wait till then. They had the highest rated bowl game of the quarterfinal. Yes. That was put out. We've known they're going to lose some dudes. Jordan James declared for the draft. Derek Harmon declared for the draft.
Yeah, he's projected to be a top 20 pick.
Yeah, Derek Harmon had to go. I mean, that's, we know that Jabbar Muhammad is going to go. He's going to play in the East-West Shrine game. And yesterday, it came out, I don't know how much this surprises people anymore, and it's something else we can add to this segment. Their freshman receiver, Ryan Pelham, has entered the transfer portal as well. He was a part of the 2024 recruiting class. They also received Florida State receiver Malik Benson. He formerly, I believe, of Bama, then Florida State, and now Oregon. So they got a playmaker. They've gotten a couple other guys. We've mentioned them along the way. And so, you're going to guys coming and going. Portal is what it is. I think overall, this is the encouraging part of Dan Lanning, despite many people questioning if he can win the big one or, however people view him around the country that aren't Duck fans, whatever that may be. There's no doubt, and I think this goes to Dirt's point, as hard as that was to talk about what happened with Ohio State, they're not just going to drop off the map here.
No, there's no feeling like that was your only and best shot, and now it's going to be...
Well, I do actually... I subscribe to the questioning of aloud of getting...
You had a shot, certainly.
Well, I would say many people thought that was your best shot. This college football world, you've beaten Penn State. You had already conquered Ohio State in a game. Georgia was down. Bama was down. Texas has looked shaky on almost every big game they've played. Arizona State got a bye. Boise State got a bye. I think when you looked at the landscape, it kind of felt like, is this the destiny year? And you just didn't play a good game, and Ohio State had started playing their best football. So it was a combination. But I think the beauty is you can lose some of these dudes. Muhammad, great. Derek Harmon, stud. We understand. Pelham, okay, I guess. You can lose these guys, but you're getting the talent. It's just completely cycling back in. Now, what your season is next year, I don't know. You're going to avoid Ohio State and Michigan in conference play, and so you're going to have a new quarterback. Tez Johnson says he's going to be a Heisman finalist. I think, though, what Dan Lanning has established is the talent's not going anywhere, that they're going to continue to be one of, if not the Big Ten representative in the conference title game. They're going to be in that conversation seemingly every day. And the beauty of Dan Lanning is it was only his third year. He's still in his 30s. Allow this dude to go through some things and find it. Dirt mentioned the stat of coaches, how many years it took them to win their first title. But I think the world of college football changes so much. When you lose a Pelham from a 2024 recruiting class, it's just such shrug of the shoulders at this point for almost any fan base.
Yeah.
This is what the world is. And this is the part of that sport that people kind of latch on to knock it. I mean, you saw Jaden Rashada. He's transferring from Georgia after transferring from Arizona State, after getting released from Florida, his NIL, academic scholarship. So, he's in a weird way. He didn't play for Florida, but Florida, Arizona State, Georgia. That's 3 already, 2 in the holster of teams he was kind of a part of and suited up for. This is kind of the ugliness of that sport. Oregon already had a quarterback that they just signed, hit the portal, and I told Dirt this weeks ago, and this is kind of a little way where Sprague was right. I told him these kids don't pay attention to this stuff. We think that we're in this vast, big bubble
where
the athletes and the parents and everybody tunes and watches and reads the same stuff.
No.
They're not.
No.
They're in their weird worlds that they have no idea. Oh, Oregon State's not in the Pac-12 is not the Pac-12 anymore. I had no idea. I said that, and he was like, no way they didn't know. This kid that committed and signed thought he was just going to roll into Oregon and be the starting quarterback, just gifted to him. Discovered in the 1 week he was there at the Rose Bowl practices that he wasn't, and he's like, I'm out. I want to be a starter. It's like, yeah, these kids don't pay attention to this stuff. Their parents aren't always paying attention to this stuff. So it's such a weird world where we're like following the games. We got playoff games this week. We follow and read a lot of this stuff as fans and media in the offseason. But, man, it's such a different world the players live in.
Oh, I know. I think eventually if they can settle the NIL stuff, get this house case settled, and if the schools can now dispense the NIL money, it flows through the schools, so it's actually there. We got this case, people suing Leonard Hamilton over what
the
he
players
promised
are,
them
yeah.
or whatever.
They said he was promised.
There can actually
money.
be stuff in writing, and the money is tied to somehow sticking around. I don't think you will see this jumping around as much anymore.
Oh, why do you think that? Because you think you're going to get like 2-year guaranteed type deals, like contracts?
I think eventually they will get to a point where there's some
union?
sort of contract. I don't know if we'll full get on union and employees and all that. That's the one thing that nobody wants to go to because now players have to pay taxes and all this other stuff. But I think there will be something that is more concrete for players to not jump every year.
Yeah, maybe. Or maybe Quinn Ewers of the world knows he's not starting for Texas next year. Draft stock's pretty terrible. He's going to get $6 million from somebody. Who that is, I don't. Maybe it's Miami. Maybe it's.
But that's based on, as opposed to the.
Why would that change?
That one won't change.
Okay.
The Jaden Rashada one might change.
I don't know why you think that, but I hope it happens. It's the tough part of
It'll
following
be
this
slow.
sport.
It'll be a slow process, but I think it'll start slowing down. Just everybody looking to go at the first chance because they're not. I think programs want to be able to develop guys and not worry about this. Coaches want to not worry about everybody every year having to recruit my entire roster and the transfer portal and the high school ranks. They're going to try to get some mechanisms in there.
Yeah.
It won't be perfect and it won't be for everybody, but to just have a little bit more roster certainty.
Well, I think the deadlines of these things is what the real problem is.
Yes.
Because I'm almost wondering, in a weird way,
the windows will be limited.
The windows need to be limited. They also don't need to be happening during playoff prep.
Right.
Dan Lanning had recruiting signing day, and I'm not making excuses for why they lost. I'm just like, prepare for a playoff game, national signing day, portal season open. Yeah. Like, you're dealing with multiple things.
Well, and that's why you're seeing these stabs. If you want to wonder where, a lot of this extra revenues that's coming in from the expanded playoff, the football teams are expanding their staff so they can have individual people monitoring. You got somebody that's just in charge of the portal stuff. Then you have people that are just in charge of high school recruiting.
And then they say, Dan, come in. We're dealing with this. We need you right now for this moment.
And so Lanning's got to go spend 20 minutes with
mom or player or whoever. Yeah,
15 different people every day to keep track of it all.
But I also wonder too, not that they enjoy it. Lanning's never been vocal about it. He actually goes the opposite way of no excuses, just deal with the world you're in.
He accepts it. It's part of the deal. It's part of the gig.
But how many coaches are like used to it now? It's only a couple years, but like they've already had to go through it.
Some of them are. I don't know if you get used to it. I think they would all, even the Dan Lannings would say, we need a little bit more organization and structure to it.
I would agree with that for sure, but they're used to dabbling in roster recruiting.
Yeah.
Non-roster recruiting, transfer.
He's certainly not
stuff.
Old school fighting the system Dabo Swinney style.
Well, no, and Dabo's kind of putting his tail between his legs.
Well, he has to if he wants to stay relevant.
But also, you've seen it too. How many coaches are, in a way, kind of not liking it? I mean, there's already
you certainly see it in college basketball. Look at all the guy. Larinaga just retired from Miami, and he's just like, I can't comprehend this.
Yeah,
like, coaching for 50 years and all. And he just said, but he did the right thing. He's like, I have to step away. This is where it's going. I can't stop this
Well,
from
they have
happening.
fallen off a cliff too.
And yeah, it's just, this isn't the world that I came up coaching in, and I can't get with it. So it's time for me to go.
And that's the thing, is like getting with it, evolving with it. You got to figure that out along the way. So it's, Ducks lose a couple players to the NFL draft. They lose a guy to the portal. They've gotten some guys in the portal.
Guys going to the NFL draft that are going to be drafted is never a bad thing for a program.
No, it's a great look.
It's a great look. Look, we're putting multiple guys in the draft.
I mean, not that one of them was with Lanning, but they've 2 starting quarterbacks in the NFL playoffs.
Yep.
And they're 1 injury away from having 3 with Mariota in Washington. They have the 2 record holders for rookie touchdowns. Yeah, they got blown out by Ohio State. They got their lunch money taken.
Yeah, then they will do.
But
I think the one thing Duck
shape.
fan knows that Lanning will lead a full autopsy on
100%
how that happened.
Yep.
And they will adjust. They're not going to overhaul everything based on one game, but they will adjust.
Hard to go 13-0 and have to over-adjust everything.
Exactly.
Overhaul
That's
everything,
just it. It's
say.
like, okay, this is specific to this environment.
Yeah.
How do we expect to be back here in a similar situation and have a similar opportunity? How do we approach it differently next time?